Welcome back, guys. Johnny Keck over at AMP Futures. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to show you another function within MultiCharts.net, AMP exclusive platform free of charge, the watch list, also known as the scanner window. This is the, let me show you what the watch list looks like. I currently have it within my workspace. This is a popular function that's used within MultiCharts that allows you to add a series of different instruments. It allows you to see different information specific to that instrument, whether you're looking at the open, the high, the low, the last, total volume, different information that might be of interest for you when you're trading. I want to show you the basic mechanics of how to use the watch list, also known as the scanner window, how to add contracts, how to remove contracts, how to allocate certain columns if you want to see or don't want to see specific columns, and then also how to link the watch list to your chart and your dome. So if you're clicking on a specific instrument within the watch list, it's going to allow you to change that instrument onto your dome and your chart very easily. So it makes it a little more efficient, changing from one instrument to another. All right, so let's get right into it. Let's show you first how to build a watch list, also known as a scanner window, if you don't already have one built within your workspace. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and minimize the watch list. Let's throw it back into the, let's put it back right into the workspace here. So we're going to go to File, New, and we're going to go to Scanner Window. All right, so when you're accessing it from the File, New menu option, it's going to be identified as the Scanner Window. Once it's open, it will be identified as your watch list. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and left-click on the Scanner Window, and you're going to see momentarily the watch list will now populate. So since this is a blank watch list, let's go ahead and work off this specific one that we just created. And let's go over a couple things while we have this open, okay? So first things first, I want to show you if you want to change the color of your watch list, perhaps you're not a fan of the white background, you can always right-click in the watch list and you can select themes, whether you want to, you'll see a bunch of preset themes that you can choose. So I can choose black, for example. I can choose teal. So whichever option you feel is going to be best for your preference, just be sure to select that specific color coordination. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and select white. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and just show you a couple other things here. Now, if you want to change the text size, perhaps the text size is a bit too small or maybe it's too big, then you can go in and change that by either choosing largest. You can see how that text becomes a lot larger. Or you can change that to medium, or whichever size you feel is going to be best for your preference. Okay, so a lot of this is going to be straightforward. But let's go ahead and show you now how to add some instruments within the watch list. All right, so very simple. What you're going to want to do is you want to left-click in an empty cell within the watch list. And when you do that, you can see that an empty cell has been identified with a black bold selection. Okay, once you have that, then you're going to want to right-click with your mouse, and then you want to go and select Insert Instrument. All right, when we select Insert Instrument, similar to when you create a new chart, you're going to see Format Instrument populate. And now from here, this is where you're going to want to go ahead and locate and choose the instrument that you want to insert within the watch list. All right, so in this case, let's say I want to add the mini S&P contract. So you can see the June mini S&P. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And now you can see that that mini S&P contract has been applied within the watch list. All right, so you see that data coming through. You can see that there's total volume. You can see there's net change, last, bid, ask, and so forth. So let's add a few more instruments in there. So I'm going to go right-click and go to Insert Instrument again. Another thing you want to make sure that's very important is you want to make sure that the proper data source that you're currently connected to is selected under the Data Source drop-down menu. All right, so you'll see here CQG, that's the data feed that we're currently using at this moment. And now I'm going to go and search down the list for a different instrument. So in this case, I'll go ahead and select the mini NASDAQ, for example. All right, I'm going to go and click OK. And now you can see that instrument has been added. All right, so that's pretty much how you add instruments. Very simple procedure. It's very straightforward. Now, if you want to remove instruments, you're going to want to left-click on the specific symbol that you want to delete within the watch list. Once you see that symbol has been selected, then you want to go ahead and right-click with your mouse over that selected symbol, and then you want to go and select Remove Instrument. All right, when you do that, now you see the instrument will be deleted. So watch me do the same for the mini S&P contract. And now you can see that the contract has been removed. Okay, so that's pretty much how you add and remove instruments within the watch list. All right, now let me show you another thing. If you would like to create labels, just as I've done here in the watch list, you can see this is a popular way of organizing your symbols within the watch list. For example, if you want to be able to create labels for equity indices, energy products, currencies, and metals, and so forth, let's go ahead and show you how to do that. So I'm going to bring back that blank watch list, and we're going to right-click into the instrument field. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and select Insert Group. All right. So now, by default, it will be labeled as group number 1 when you create the first group. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and label the group that we just created. All right. So we can right-click, and now you can select Rename, and I can call it anything I want. So in this case, I'll call it Indexes, for example. All right. Now you can see the Indexes label has been created. And the benefit of this is if you trade a variety of different markets, I mean, there might be someone out there that trades 60 different markets. It might be hard for you to kind of go and filter the markets that you trade if they're all kind of grouped together and they're not structured and organized based on not creating labels. So what you could do, if you notice, if I bring up this watch list, you can see here I can collapse the group, and then I can recollapse it, or I can enable it to see all the different instruments within that group. So it just makes it a lot more efficient for me to find specific category groups of markets that I trade. All right, so here's what I can do. I can now start adding index instruments just as I did earlier. So for example, EPM16, which would be the June mini S&P contract, mini NASDAQ, mini Dow. All right, there you go. And we'll stick with those for now. And now let's start creating an additional group. Now I won't go through the entire process of creating all these groups, but I just want to be able to create maybe 2 or 3 just so you get the idea of what I'm trying to explain. So I'm going to go ahead and right-click again, Insert Group. Now you can see a second group has been created. Now I'm going to go ahead and label this group, let's say Financials. So we'll add now Treasury Bonds. So we're going to locate USA M16, which is the 30-year Treasury bond. And let's see if we have any other financial product in here. I think that's the only one that I've had. I can go ahead and add a quick one here. Now here's a good example. So if I'm looking to add the 10-year T-note, and if you look in the list here, I cannot locate and identify the 10-year T-note. So if you run into the situation, what you're then going to have to do is you want to add the symbol. All right. When you add the symbol, you're going to add it to the default list that you see here, and therefore once you add it, you don't have to add it again. So in this case, I'm going to hit Add Symbol, and I'm going to click on the Futures tab. So it's very important that you click on the Futures tab. Otherwise, if you're searching for futures instruments under the Index tab, you will get no results found. So in this case, TYAM16 is the symbol for the 10-year T-note, and you notice no matches were found. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Futures tab. Now I'm going to go ahead and type in TYAM16, look up, and now you can see the 10-year Treasury note has been identified. The next step is you want to left-click on the auto-populated result so it's highlighted, and now you're going to want to click Add. Okay, once we do that, you're going to get a confirmation that that instrument has been added. We're going to click OK, and now we're going to close. All right, so now you can see TYAM16 has been added. If I click OK, you can see that that contract has now been inserted within the watch list under the financials category group that we've just created. All right, so now you can collapse the groups. You can organize them, as you can see, by name, and you can just hit the plus sign, and then you'll see the sub-menus which will show the instruments within that category group. All right, so that's one way of organizing your watch list. If you want to be able to separate them out based on different market categories, just as I've done, that might be a good and efficient way to keep you organized and get different markets inserted within your watch list. Now, going back to the watch list, now let's say if you want to perhaps move some columns around, or maybe you want to add some columns that you do or don't see. For example, I'm interested in seeing the settlement price, or maybe I'm interested in seeing bid size volume or offer size volume, things of that nature. What you're going to want to do is right-click with your mouse in the header title of the watch list. What I mean by header title, you have resolution, trend, high, low, ask, bid, last. So you're going to want to right-click in the header title, and then you'll see there's checkbox options. So if you see that that current header title is checked, that means it's already applied within the watch list. If it's not checked, that means that you can select it to enable it. So in this case, I'm pretty interested in seeing what the open looks like. So I'm going to left click on the open. You can see now that's been populated. I can left click on the close. You can see that's been populated. All right, so I will leave it up to you to decide which columns you feel are going to be nice for you to see within the watch list. The main thing is for you to understand how to get to this menu option by right-clicking in the header tile and making sure that you check or uncheck specific options within the list that you see here. All right, so that's pretty much how you're going to be able to add or remove specific columns within the watch list. Now, as far as moving the order of appearance of the columns within the watch list, so for instance, if I want to have this total volume column a little further up the display, then what I'm going to do is take my mouse cursor and hover my mouse cursor over where it shows total volume. I'm going to hold down the left click and I'm going to drag it over and I'm going to simply drop it to a display that I'm satisfied with. So in this case, let's say I want to move it right after the last, or better yet, let's do it right before the close here. And now you can see that total volume column has been moved. All right, so to left click, drag and drop, and make sure you drop it on the proper column display of where you want that column to be moved to. All right, so in this case, left click and drag, you can see that moves around. As far as changing the width of the column or making it skinnier, for example, or thinner, then you can go ahead and just left click on the border boundary of the column itself. What you're looking for is your mouse cursor to turn into a double-sided arrow. And once you see that display, you're going to want to then hold down your left click with your mouse, either drag to the right to expand it or drag to the left to make it thinner. All right, so that's pretty much how you organize the columns within the watch list. Pretty straightforward once again, but very essential for you to organize and build a watch list based on your preference. All right, now let's go over a couple other things here. One thing I want to show you is that you can actually create a chart directly off the watch list. All right, so for instance, if you notice there's a trend column that you see here, and what you can do is if you left click on the trend column within that instrument, as I've done here, there's two ways of creating a quick chart from the watch list. You can either right-click on the trend column within the instrument field, and then you're going to see an option that says Create Chart Window. All right, so if I left-click that option, you're going to see that a chart will quickly populate, and that's probably one of the easiest ways to build a new chart within MultiCharts.net. All right, so you can see now there's a new chart. Let me go ahead and close that. Another way versus right-click and Create Chart Window is you can just simply double left-click on the trend column. So if I double left click, that's even quicker. It reduces an extra click, and now I can immediately open a chart based on the selection of the instrument within the watch list. All right. Another thing I want to show you as well is the linked option. Now this is a very powerful function. I'm a big fan of this particular feature myself. So what the link function allows you to do, let me go ahead and just close out this watch list and use the existing one that I currently have. And let's bring the dome back into display. And what I'm going to show you is how to link your watch list to your chart and your dome. So when you click on a specific instrument within the watch list, it will then change the chart and the dome to that specific symbol. All right, so it's going to be a very efficient way to change from one instrument to another. Highly recommended, especially if you only have one monitor display where you don't have the luxury of moving different windows over to different monitors and you just don't have that much display region to have a variation of different windows within your workspace. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click to where it shows instrument right here. There's a little drop-down menu, and if you hit that little drop-down menu, you'll see colors. And what you're going to want to do is select a color that you want to start creating your links for. So in this case, I'm going to go and select green. You can see now that changes to green. Now we're not quite done yet because we still have to link the chart and the dome to the watch list, and we have to match the colors so they're actually officially linked. So if you see here on the top left corner of your chart, there's a little drop-down menu. Now there's two of them. This one is specific for selecting symbols, but the one to the right of it, you'll see that same color option that you can select, and then you're going to want to go ahead and click green. So you want to match it with the green that you have in the watch list. Now on the dome, it's a little tricky. It's hard to find it for the very first time, but to the left of the symbol that you have populated within your dome, you'll see a little white box, and if you left-click on that little white box, you'll get that little color option once again. So then you're going to go ahead and select green, and now you can see there's green, and green. So that's going to let you know that you now have your dome and your chart linked to this specific watch list. And of course, you can open up multiple watch lists or scanner windows, and you can create different link options. In this case, I'm just demonstrating with just one chart, one dome, and one watch list. All right, so now watch what happens when I click on an instrument within the watch list. You can see now the chart changes to that instrument as well as the dome. Makes it very easy for me to switch from one instrument to another without having multiple charts or domes open at the same time, which can be an inconvenience at times if you only have one monitor display. So this is the best way to maximize the display region on your monitor if you only have one monitor set up. Of course, if you have the luxury of having a multi-monitor setup, this may not be as an important function for you, but still a useful tool if you still want to be able to do different things with it, which provides you some flexibility. And for the most part, these are the basic mechanics of the watch list. There definitely is more in-depth functionality within the watch list. We're going to get into how to add studies within the watch list, how to set alerts, and also showing you some of the functions of the pre-scanning, which is very unique as well. So we'll show you that in the next few videos coming up. We appreciate your attention, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you.